goodness gracious. Woo! I do declare it is hot around these parts here today. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I need my sweat. You know what? The hat's not going to survive the show. I think I don't mind the look, although, every time I look in the mirror, I'm disappointed. I don't mind the look, but the hat's going to have to go. It's just too hot in here. It is just way too. Oh. No air conditioning here at the beautiful Kelly Moore Studios. Hot, just like she'd want it. She was always cold. That is the irony of the fact that we're going to have to go through the bulk of this summer without any air conditioning here. They'll have it fixed. It'll be fixed by October, which is good in Texas because it's still like in the 80s and 90s all the way through Thanksgiving. But anyway, it is hot here in the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here at the E-Gallery. I am Pugs Moran, and this here is the said Rant. Hi, Byron. Byron's in the chat room. We got Jen in the chat room. How come Jen never comes to trivia? That's a question. Jen's come out to other things. I know that Jen is friends with our defending trivia champion, James Parker. Afternoons on WBAP 2 to 5. James had a perfect card in round 2 of last week's trivia at the back 9. We do it every Tuesday, 7:30 at the back 9. James had a perfect card, and he came from behind, and he took Bill Falk, who is a perennial champion. Bill wins from time to time. We've had no April the last couple of weeks because April's one of our little soldiers, and she's out there. She's fighting battles, so that's okay. But James Parker's always there, and I know Jen knows James. Why doesn't Jen come to at least hang out with Jen? Anyway, tonight, Parker and me. I mentioned him because he's a defending champion, and because I always get on him because I don't think he's allowed to promote this on his radio show, which it's one of the reasons why I don't do radio anymore. Could you imagine that? You remember back in the Pugs and Kelly days, how we were just free to promote whatever we wanted because the programmers were like, well, what you guys are doing is, successful. So that not just us, but the entire station, like the whole format, every host had autonomy to do their show. And if that meant talking about how they got drunk at their friend's bar the night before, so be it. Can't do that anymore. They locked everything down. That's why radio's no fun. Radio's no fun anymore. Anyway, James Parker, I'll promote him. James Parker over there at WBAP, afternoons 2 to 5. He's on right now. You can check him out. He'll be out there defending his crown, the perfect card. He walked out of there with a perfect card. That means 20 correct trivia questions. Tonight at 7:30 at the back 9, we've got cash, we've got prizes, we've got all kinds of fun stuff for top 3 teams. Hey, who's interested in the categories for today? Let's do some categories. All right. So every week I struggle. It's a struggle of love. I don't just rip Trivial Pursuit cards out. Okay. That's not what we're doing. We're not doing that. That sucks. That's lame. I'm putting on a show. I am a trivia champion. I am a retired trivia champion. I laid up what would it be? What would it be that I laid up? I laid up the trivia thing years ago, and now I host. So I like to come up with unique questions. So all the questions that I come up with. I'm not pulling them from any source. I am cross-referencing and making sure that I'm right. These are all questions that I know. That's not true, actually. Although for the purposes of this promotion, let's just pretend like I know. Are you smarter than me? Because I know all the questions I ask. Anyway, here are the categories. Round 1 categories for tonight's Trash Trivia at the back 9 in Addison, 7:30. Round 1 categories. Whatever. That's right. That's the first category is called whatever. It's just random. We're just going to start out the first category a little bit, get limber. We're going to have some themed categories coming up. We're going to get limber. First category out of the box, random. Could be a movie question followed by a science question, followed by an automobile question. Who knows? Random. Category 1, whatever. Category 2 in round 1 tonight is going to be odd science. Odd science. Remember that movie from the 80s? Yeah. No, that was Weird Science. I was going to call it Weird Science, but I thought I don't want people to think this is about the movie Weird Science. So odd science is category 2. Where the hell am I? Yeah, it's geography. A geography category that I call Where the hell am I? All right. And then what else do we have? We're gonna round out round 1 with lady problems. That's right. Lady problems is category 4 in round 1. Round two, a little bit later in the night. We're a little bit drunk. We've all had a couple of beers. People are arguing about the lady problems category. Whatever. I don't know. It's always fun. There are multiple storylines to follow every night at trivia. Round two, history. That's right. Just an easy one. Start at history. Did you fall asleep in history class? These are all pretty basic history questions. History starts out round two. Category two in round two. I like to watch. That's right. I like to watch is the category. Do you like to watch? All right, what is this? This is just, I'm going to tell you TV shows that I like to watch. You tell me what network or platform I'm watching them on. I like to watch is category two in round two of tonight's Trash Trivia, 7:30 at the back nine. That category is followed by category three, which is singer in the band. Singer in the band. I'll tell you the band. You tell me their lead singer. See how much you know about rock and roll. And then the fourth question, fourth category, final category in round two, TV casts. Well, this is one of my new favorite ways to do trivia. I started it out with Name the Band, where I would give you members of the band. You tell me what band. Then it turned into Name the Movie, where I'd give you three actors who appeared in a movie together. You tell me what movie they were in together. This one is TV cast. We just moved it to TV. So I'm going to give you like people who are in a TV series together and you tell me. All right, that's it. Those are the 8 categories. 40 questions for tonight's Trash Trivia. 40 questions I'm not going to give you ahead of time. But if you come out tonight at 7:30 to the back nine, 4060 Beltline Road, you can play. See if you're better at that stuff than James Parker. All right, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. The rant today is going to concern a number of stories, big stories. We're not going to lead off with any Epstein stuff. Epstein's been sort of at the top of my list the last few days. Every day I'm like, can you believe the latest? So yesterday, here's what's weird. So first of all, you all know I'm not Q conspiracy guy, right? You know that I believe that there are 15% of Americans on the right. We're moving that up, by the way. I decided over the weekend we're moving that up. There's 20% of people on the right who are absolutely nuts. And there are 20% of people on the left who are absolutely nuts. That leaves 60% of us here, somewhere in the middle. Some of us lean a little left, some of us lean a little bit right, but bottom line, we can do business together, all right? So this show is for us. It's for the normal people, people in the middle. I'm not a QAnon weirdo is my point, but I got to tell you, I'm driving in yesterday to do this show, and I'm thinking about how, man, another show is going to start with more Epstein nonsense. This guy, and I started thinking about the distractions that we're getting, all the shit, you know. I made Coca-Cola, put sugar in it, you know, the distractions, whatever. Don't pay attention to Epstein, pay attention, whatever. I think that the Washington Commanders should be the Redskins again. No? You still want to know about Epstein? Fuck. What about the Cleveland Guardians? You know, distractions. So I'm driving in and I'm thinking, God, man, these distractions do not seem to be working for them. And again, I'm not a QAnon guy, but I do hear from all these crazy QAnon people about false flags, about, oh, now would be a time for a false flag. If the government does do false flags, now I'm driving in yesterday. I'm thinking, this would be the time. I go, if you really think that Trump is so duplicitous and so desperate, now would be the time for a false flag, right? Now, again, I'm in the 60%, so I don't believe in those kinds of things, right? I don't think Sandy Hook was a false flag. I'm not one of these weirdos. Those are terrible people. I don't even want to bother myself with them. But what happens last night? The New York shooting. We're going to talk about the New York shooting in depth. NFL was targeted, or some people say, we don't know. Let's dig deeper, shall we? Whole bunch of stuff in that story that I want to get into. So we'll talk about that from top to bottom. That's going to be our big lead today on the rant. Also, I want to talk about the way it was covered. Yours truly, because I've got my nerd app that I tell you about all the time. I was following this story an hour before CNN even knew it was happening. I'll give you an example. Last night around, I don't know, it was like 5:30 or something. I don't know. I got home and I'm walking the dog. It's still 105 fucking degrees, but whatever. I'm out there walking the dog in 105 degree, 5:30 p.m. heat. And I get a blip, blip on my phone. And I'm like, oh boy, what's this? And I see New York City. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting because New York City crime events never go off on the alerts. In fact, I didn't even know that New York City Police Department were streaming live. I didn't know you could hear their police scanners. You used to be able to hear all the police scanners, but then like all the big cities where all the cool stuff happens, where you might want to listen to a police scanner in the middle of the night, all those big cities went to a different form of scanner and now they're not available and it sucks. So when I get the New York City thing, I'm like, this is probably a replay or a delay, because that's what they do. The cities won't do it live. Like in Chicago, they had an incident where a bunch of cops got shot and people were sharing clips of it online and it was kind of in bad taste. So in Chicago, they stopped doing it about 2 years ago. So I thought New York was the same, but New York is not. So I put the phone in my pocket and I continued walking my dog, and I'm listening to the first to arrive police on the scene. I'm listening to the chaos of the moment. And I'm hearing all of this shit like, oh my God, like there's bodies everywhere. Oh my God. And I walk back in front of my house and they're doing some construction on the street. They're re-blacktopping. And I'm talking to the neighbor about, when you're going to have to move your car again. And she says to me, what's that? What are you listening to? Because I had my phone in my pocket and it was on the police radio. And these cops are screaming, 33rd floor, 33rd floor. We need a fully armed thing. We've got one on the ground, 33rd. And she's like, what are you listening to? And I go, apparently there's a big shooting in Midtown Manhattan at the NFL headquarters. Now, I mentioned NFL headquarters. My first thing was, this is probably an NFL thing. Long before they even mentioned on the news that this was the NFL headquarters. You know how I knew it? Because one of the first cops on the scene on the radio said, it's at NFL HQ. And I'm like, oh shit. And I knew that the NFL was headquartered on Park Avenue. So I'm like, oh shit, this is an NFL themed thing. So there's a situation when these stories are unfolding. Famously called the fog of war, where shit gets reported that isn't fucking true. Well, we had that. CNN last night, we're going to talk about CNN's gaffe of describing the assailant as being possibly white. We will talk about CNN and how they described the shooter as possibly white. We, of course, know that is not the case, but let's do a timeline on that, because there's a lot of people trying to pretend like it's something that it's not. So we'll break down the timeline. The fog of war, early reporting fuck-ups. They happen all the time, but now we're going to pay attention to them. All right, so we'll get into that. What else are we going to talk about today? We're going to mention the Reno shooting that happened yesterday. If you were listening to the show, you know that we opened the show with coverage of a situation occurring in Reno, Nevada, at a casino resort there, the largest casino resort in Reno. Sketchy details. Early on, it was starting to be framed, especially by one reporter who asked the sheriff there, is this gang related? And he said, we are not going to discuss that at this time. Now, I reacted to that reporter asking that question, because a reporter has talked to a bunch of people on the scene before she asked that question. So you can glean a lot of info that maybe the authorities aren't willing to give out from the questions that the reporters are asking. So when this reporter asked, do you believe this to be gang related? That led me to think that she thought it might be gang related because, I don't know, she talked to a valet and got, you know what I mean? She's got information that is not been solidified yet. So I kind of moved away from that story, and I'm like, probably just a bunch of angry gangbangers who lost, some money at the casino. And so move on. So I'm not worried about that. Then the New York thing happens, and oh my God, this is turning into something interesting and something I'm going to have to pay attention to. And so I did that. And then this morning I went, so what's going on with Reno? So whatever happened with Reno? This is because a lot of people on social media, the idiot class that seems to have an amplified influence on all of our hot takes these days. The idiot class, they were putting out this stuff about they've been triggered. This is an Islamic attack, and the people triggering. And there was false reports of like some mass stabbing on the London Bridge. Somebody said 30 people were just stabbed on the London Bridge. And we had the Walmart stabbing on Sunday in Michigan. I don't know if that got past you, but that was another like terrible event that occurred. So anyway, I decided I want to look at this Reno story. Okay, so we're going to investigate that too. We're going to look at what, now that the dust has settled on Reno, what happened there. I'm going to bury the lead here. They ain't telling us. They ain't telling us anything about Reno, and we're going to break that down. That is fucking weird. What is happening in Reno is weird. Information on the events of that shooting, which happened well over 24 hours now, have been completely blacked out. No authorities are saying anything about who the shooter was or not motivation. All they're saying is that they believe it was random, that he was out there shooting people randomly. So that eliminates gang related. So we're going to get into that, right? Get you caught up on what happened there. And there are some weird details in that too. I'll break down a timeline of how that shooting in Reno went down yesterday. Just hours before the New York one. Also, we've got an update. We've got kind of a shocking update story I talked about yesterday. Remember, we got into this whole conversation about rage baiting, and are they serious with this shit? And as an example of, rage baiting, I showed some horrible person screaming about how Sydney Sweeney is a Nazi because she's doing an American Eagle ad where she talks about good genes, and this idiot is like, she's talking about Nazism. This is dog whistles coded. Well, guess what? American Eagle is giving us some new information that should make people like that feel really stupid. So we'll share that with you too, okay? We're going to get into I'm going to go off half-cocked because I'm so wired to think everything is evil and Nazis and... Yeah, somebody went off half-cocked. American Eagle has an explanation for what that ad is all about, as does Sydney Sweeney. But okay. But you know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to show you the explanation. And if you're under 40, you're going to totally not get it. But if you're over 40, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll get into the details of what I'm talking about here. Outrage over the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney commercial. We'll talk about that. Also, Neon Sanders held a press conference yesterday. He's a guy near and dear to all the hearts of us sports fans here in North Texas. Up there in Colorado is the head coach of the Buff, the mighty Buff. Well, Dion, does Dion have a medical issue? Depends. Oh, did you see what I do? I got so much. Oh my God, prime time to potty time. That's right. Dion held a very serious press conference about his health situation. And it's something that a lot of dudes need to talk about. And Dion's there talking about it. So we'll get into that. From Neon Dion to Peon Dion. Peon Dion. I'm telling you, I'm giving you all of these great slogans for his soon to come branded Deion Sanders Depends adult diapers. Those are coming. He was talking about it. He was basically in the press conference. He's like, yeah, so I've been working with Depends. I mean, I'm not kidding. You think I'm kidding? I don't know. I think the slogan for the ad campaign should be Peon Dion. Yours truly came up with that. And we'll also talk about the passing of another great from my childhood. We're going to get into Ryne Sandberg and the amazing career that dirty Cub had. That's right, a tribute to Ryne Sandberg from a Chicago White Sox fan. The rare tribute to a Cubs player. There's a few. There's absolutely a few. Undeniables. All right, so we're going to do all of that. Let me check back in with the chat room. Oh, God, it's so hot here. Don't worry, the whole show's not going to be me just complaining. Hi, Adam. It's good to see Adam. I don't think I've seen Adam in the chat room in a while. He says, I was just in Vegas. Hello, what's up, y'all? Hi, Adam. Who else? Anybody else I need to say hi to that I didn't say hi to? All right, I don't think so. Leslie C. Leslie C. Hi, Leslie. Oh, it's hot. All right, let's talk about what happened yesterday. So as I said, I got the alert on my phone as I was driving home yesterday from the E-Gallery studios here. And I saw a New York shooting, and I was like, what's that? And then I thought, well, at least I'll have something to listen to while I walk the dog. So I'm walking the dog, and I'm listening to the early police calls, the first responders that arrived there at, was it 345 Park Avenue? I remember they said 52nd, between 50, here's what the original call was on the radio, between 52nd and 51st and Park Avenue. Now, I'm familiar with Midtown Manhattan because I love it. I love Midtown Manhattan. And my first thought was, holy fuck, United Healthcare. Do you remember the United Healthcare guy, Luigi Manu? That was just a couple blocks away. That was what we're talking about here. We're talking about a part of Midtown Manhattan where shit doesn't happen unless it's an assassination, right? Shit, it's a very hoity-toity. It's Park Avenue. You ever played Monopoly? Park Avenue. It's a very nice. And I also knew that when they described that, I started to think, okay, what famous things are on that stretch of Park Avenue? My very first thing was that's NFL league offices. I think the NFL is at 52nd and Park. There used to be a podcast called 52nd and Park. It was about the league offices, but then people started saying shit, and it became, the owners were like, "We got to end that." Wasn't that it? 52nd and Park. I think that's anyway. So the first responders, I'm listening to them, and they're like, they described the assailant. The first description was about 6 feet tall, black jacket, blue jeans, carrying a long rifle. All right, that was the first police on the scene. All right, we're here. Here's what we know. That police officer, and put a pin in this, described the assailant as possibly white. Okay? Put a pin in it, because when we get to shitting on CNN, and trust me, we're going to shit on CNN, but just remember where you heard it first, possibly white. So that came from the police scanner. Then I'm walking the dog, and the dog is sniffing and eating grass. Would you stop eating grass? I know that means he's got a bad stomach. Then this dog has stomach cancer, because this dog eats grass every day and never throws up. She just likes the grass. So stop eating grass. It's 105 degrees. And meanwhile, my phone's going, we need that more on the 33rd floor. So by the time I get home, I start cooking dinner, and I'm still listening to it. And I got CNN on, and CNN is talking about Ghislaine Maxwell and, all whatever they're doing on CNN that's stupid, that's not actually covering the carnage that is happening on my phone, right? And quite literally, the carnage that is happening right outside CNN's New York offices. I mean, that Avenue of the Americas is just like, what, 1 block over? That's where CNN and Fox News and all that stuff is. I'm like, this has been going on for an hour, and you guys are still doing other things? So then by the time I got my water boiling for the rice that I had last night, it's boiling. I look up, and CNN goes, breaking news, an hour later. Steve Lookner, by the way. Steve Lookner was on it while I was dog walking. If you guys don't follow Agenda Free TV, you should. Steve Lookner is the best in the business for breaking news. All right, so let's talk about what it was. What was it that went down? This dude, 27-year-old, killed 4 people before killing himself, shooting himself in the chest because he thought he had CTE. Okay. He drove from Las Vegas, and over the course of 2 days, they said it was like he left at 4:00 in the afternoon yesterday. He had entered the state of New Jersey, was it? I mean, the FBI had figured out he drove a black BMW from his home in Las Vegas, where he was a registered concealed carry holder. He was also a registered private investigator. He had a private investigator's license in Las Vegas. And he was also a registered fucking mental case. That's right. What's going on, Las Vegas? The fuck is going on, Las Vegas? The guy's half a retard, and you're giving him a gun, and you're also allowing him to sift through strangers' garbage as a PI? Can we have some fucking rules in this country, people? Can we just have some fucking rules? I'm not going to tell on y'all, not a narc and all this shit, but can we just have some fucking rules in 2025? How about half a retard can't buy an assault rifle? Ball pogs. There it is. I said the trigger word, didn't I? Rage bait. He said assault rifle. Well, whatever it was. Why? I don't fucking care. This guy shouldn't have a slingshot. This guy's a fucking half a retard. Jesus. And it's known. All right, so he's 27, and he drives all the way to New York. Shane Tamura is his name. Let's take a look. Hey, let's meet our bachelor. All right, here we go. Look at this. I actually got an interview with Shane Tamura. He was quite the football player back in high school. There doesn't seem to be any real information concerning Shane Tamura, the post-high school football player. So they say that he was a great high school football player, but he didn't go to play major college anywhere, and he wasn't in the NFL or anything like that. Here he is. Here's your shooter back in high school. Apparently, he was a good running back, Shane Tamura.
Hey, we're here with standout running back Shane Tamura from the Granada Hills football team. Big 35-31 victory against Kennedy tonight. The battle for Granada Hills. Shane, just talk about you guys getting that win tonight. How'd you guys come through?
We definitely had to stay disciplined. We were down 10-0. We definitely had to stay disciplined. Our coach kept saying, don't hold your heads down, don't hold your heads down. We just had to stay disciplined and come together as a team.
Shane, a couple of touchdowns for you, including a huge one late in the game there in the fourth quarter with under 4 minutes to go. That put you guys up 35-24, sort of sealed the game there for you guys, gave you guys a nice cushion. Take us through that play right there, jailbreak screen right there. Then you broke free about the 50-yard line and then took it to the house.
Well, our coach basically asked me, he was like, Shane, is the T-screen open? Is the T-screen open? I was like, yeah, it's definitely open. So we just threw the pass to me, Ernie threw the pass to me, and one thing led to another, and I scored.
Shane, talk about, you mentioned you guys were down 10-0, early hole. Things could have got out of control possibly. How did you guys pick yourself up off the floor after that early 10-0 deficit?
Definitely had to stay disciplined. Our coaches kept telling us, don't hold your heads down. It's just the first half, or it's actually just the first quarter. We just had to keep playing, keep fighting through it, and just hold our heads up high, and then a good result's going to come.
All right. There you go. That is 2016. That is high school senior Shane Tamura, the guy who targeted the NFL league offices yesterday because he believed he had CTE. He had a note. How do we know that he had a note in his pocket? He had a manifesto, if you will, a crudely written, rambling manifesto about his belief that he has suffered from CTE, which is also interesting because, you don't know if you have. I know this because I've had multiple head injuries and I also have depression, but I wonder, are they tied together and all that? Is that a form of CTE? You don't just get CTE from playing NFL football. I've done some things to my head. I've been in a number of car accidents. I've gone through a few windshields. So, so I've wondered about that too. And, I've always known that you can't know if you have CTA. That's a post-mortem diagnosis that is given. So whether or not this guy, he seems crazy, he was certified crazy in Las Vegas. So I don't, it could be CTA. It absolutely could be caused by some kind of brain injury. However, I've seen a lot of people run with the idea that, he was delusional in the note. He was blaming the NFL for his CTE, which we don't even know if he has CTE. And what we do know is that he never played in the NFL, so it can't be their fault. Well, that's dumb. That's a dumb way to look at the situation. That's reductive. And it's like, what a stupid hot take artist might say. You don't have to have played in the NFL to think that you have CTE and then blame the NFL for all of their covering up of CTE and all of the related issues. He played high school football. He could blame the NFL for popularizing the idea that someone like him must play football. Remember, he's fucking crazy. So stop pointing to the fact that he never even played in the NFL. That's how crazy. Stop it. That's disingenuous. He was a troubled young man, a fuck up, a monster who had absolutely zero regard for you and me. But, CTE, it makes you crazy. Anyway, okay, so drove from Las Vegas straight to New York, crossed the toll bridge, and they had a timestamp on him. Like early morning, he was like in Missouri, he moved across the country, drove a black BMW, pulls up in front of this building at 52nd and Lex there in Midtown Manhattan, does that thing that we see in movies that always makes me mad. You ever seen that thing in movies where like dudes, it's like, yeah, I've got a business appointment on the 53rd floor. I'm running late. And they pull up right in front of this like Midtown Manhattan office building and just find a parking spot. I'm parking here. I'm like, bitch, your car's going to be towed when you come back. You can't park there. And they do it in movies all the time. It drives me nuts. Well, he did it in real life. Dude did it in real life. Pulled his black BMW right up there in front of the building, jumped out, walked across the plaza area. You know, it's got this open plaza area where benches and stuff, you know, maybe some hot dog carts, a bunch of smokers. They won't let us smoke in the buildings anymore. And then he made his way into the building. Here, we have a breakdown of what Shane Tamura did upon arriving at the building there at 52nd. And some people are saying, Lex, I guess there's 2 entrances, but it's 52nd and well, it's 52nd and Park just for the purpose of this. Here, what did he do? Yeah. Okay. So here's what I'll give you this. So this is from New York Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch. She provided a timeline of how this all went down. It all went down over the course of like 5 minutes. By the way, Jessica Tisch, I don't know if she's good at her job, but you know, if you're thinking Jessica Tisch, why Tisch? That sounds like a very important New York name. Is she any relation to? Yeah, she is. Yeah, she's part of the billionaire Tisch family. And of course, they put her in charge of this chick, Jessica Tisch. I was looking at her resume yesterday, or her Wikipedia page, trying to figure out, did she actually earn this, or is her family billionaires and they just provide huge campaign donations? So, you know, every new administration makes her the commissioner of something. She's been commissioner of something under 3 different mayoral campaigns. That tells me that their family makes significant campaign donations. But she's the commissioner. She's the commissioner of police. She's the police commissioner. And you would think, well, she must have a long law enforcement experience. She must be the best person for the job. No, she came from Streets and Sand. She was the commissioner of Streets and Sanitation before commissioner of police. See what I mean? But her last name is Tisch. She's not Larry Tisch's kid. She's Larry Tisch's brother's kid, I think. Anyway, Jessica Tisch, she gave a timeline as commissioner of the New York City Police Department of what happened at 345 Park Avenue. Reports of the shooting, Jessica said, came in around 6:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The shooter, Shane Tamura, 27 years old, can be seen on surveillance footage getting out of a double-parked black BMW between 51st and 52nd Streets with an M4 rifle. All right, pay attention to this. I'm not a gun guy, but I keep hearing M4. I keep hearing AR-15. They're not the same, right? One is a military weapon and one you can buy at Walmart, right? That's so. If he has an M4, as the police commissioner is reporting, he had an M4. That's an illegal military rifle, isn't it? For a civilian? Anyway. So he gets out of the car, starts walking across the plaza with this, as described by the police commissioner, an M4 rifle. And, you know, I heard people saying during the endless conversations, the panel conversations that cable news had on this last, I kept hearing people saying, he just walked across in New York City, a plaza with a gun like that, and nobody did a thing. And I'm sitting at home and I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, oh, you mean like all the endless fucking meal team 6 dudes standing in line at fucking Wendy's all strapped up with their job? Nobody does anything to them either. That's the world you fucks have created. We've created a world now where anybody can just look like they're about to wipe everybody out. Hold your fingers crossed that they don't, because, you know, if they do, oops. I don't think anybody should be allowed. I don't care about your Second Amendment fucking right. If you're standing in a Wendy's and I'm there with my kid and you're got a fucking bandolero of shit and you got a gun, you're a fucking weirdo. Get out of my country. Save that shit for your backyard or weekend parties with the boys. That's fine. Walking into my Wendy's. I don't know if you're going to fucking kill everybody. Don't know if you took your meds yet. Stop it. Stop being an asshole. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. I see this black guy walking across this plaza in New York City with a long gun, and I go, we can't say anything to him. We can't say anything to him because apparently he's got a Second Amendment right to do that. He walks in. We'll get back to this. Let's get back to Commissioner Tisch's timeline of events. All right, so he walks across the plaza with an M4. He walks towards the skyscraper, enters the lobby, and immediately turns right where he shoots police officer Didarul Islam, 36. This fucking guy. Gotta get into this guy. This guy. Holy shit. Didier, I want to get his name right. Diderul Islam. Dad. He's got a pregnant wife at home. Dude, this is everything out of a fucking movie. Immigrant to this country from Bangladesh, right? Grows up, spends his formative years in New York, wants to serve, wants to be a part of America, wants to feel like he's a fabric, a piece of the fabric, a little thread, but he's joining, he's serving and protecting. 3.5 years on the force. He's got a beautiful wife there in Brooklyn. Bronx. He's a Bronx guy. He's got a beautiful wife. He got 2 little kids. She's big old fat and pregnant with another one on the way. And this motherfucker, who was mentally insane in Nevada and yet still bought a gun in Nevada, walks in, turns right, and ends this man's life, who, by the way, was working on his day off. Yeah, there's a program in the New York City Police Department, which is, I forgot what they called it, but they were talking about it last night. They used to, you can't moonlight. Well, they've made it legal. See, because, police get paid shit, and in order to justify them getting paid shit, the police department can no longer be angry when they have to take extra work. So the police department in New York has created this program where you can work on your day off, where big-time corporations can come to the New York Police Department and hire just a whole slew of private security who are actual New York City Police Department. And get this, they get to wear their uniform. So that's what Diderol was doing. He was working on his day off because he's got a pregnant wife and 2 kids, and he's a fucking cop, and everybody shits on cops. That's who was killed yesterday. Anyway, God bless you, Officer Islam. Tamara turns right upon entering the lobby, immediately kills Diderul Islam. All right. Tamara then guns down a woman also in the lobby. She was cowering behind a pillar. And then he sprayed the entire room. Whatever. Sprayed. This is the commissioner saying she used the word sprayed. I don't want my gun fags being all like, oh, well, if it was a single trigger, it was not a spray. Oh, shut the fuck up. All right? Whatever. I'm reading what the commissioner said. Everything is not about you defending your Second Amendment right to that. Just this guy was an idiot. He shouldn't have had a gun. Just say that. Just say this fucking guy shouldn't. Yeah, he's one of the bad ones. That's all. Just come to the table with that, you fucking crazy people. All right, the gunman then walked towards a bank of elevators. Now, this is where a very crucial mistake occurred. Dude went to the wrong elevators. Okay, now if you're familiar with skyscrapers that go up like 100 stories, they have like multiple banks of elevators, and you have to go, like if you want to go to one floor 2 through 20, you go to this bank. 20 through 60 is another bank. 60 through is the express bank. So it's like that. So he goes to the wrong bank because he's an idiot. He's looking for floors 5 through 8, which are the NFL headquarters. The National Football League are headquartered on floors 5 through 8. How do we know this? Because again, we know that he had a note in his pocket that rambled about CTE and how he blames the NFL for his CTE. He makes a mistake and he goes up to the 33rd floor, which is the offices of Rudin Management, who are the people who actually manage the building. They own a bunch of properties in New York. They're a very big real estate holding company and very close to the Trump family, which is why when that was discovered, people were like, oh, it's just a crazy liberal black guy trying to kill Trump. Nah, he got off on the wrong floor. That's all. He was looking for the NFL. Got off on the wrong floor. All right, let's get back to it. So he walks to the elevator banks. He immediately shoots and kills a security guard who is hiding behind the desk there at the elevator banks, the wrong elevator banks. After he shoots and kills the security guard, the elevator doors open and a single woman exits the elevator. She walks right past the gunman. The gunman lets this single woman exit the elevator and walk right past him. After he just killed a security guard, a cop, right? And you could be thinking, well, those were 2 uniformed people whose job it would have been to stop him. So maybe he was targeting specific people in the NFL offices and didn't really want to kill random people. But I'll remind you that he murdered a woman in the lobby who was crouching behind a pillar. So he seems to be randomly shooting people. And then for some reason, this woman exits the elevator and walks right past him. Has she been interviewed? Has anybody spoken to this woman yet? I bet she's hot. I'm just saying as a guy. I bet she's fucking hot. I bet she's hot. I bet she's black. I bet she's a hot sister. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just saying, oh my God, James Parker's on the air right now. He should be playing Racial Bingo. Racial Bingo is a very uncomfortable game that he plays on the radio. You can only play it on right-wing, fascist talk, but it's still a funny game. It hurts no one. Racial Bingo. What ethnicity, skin color, and gender? That's what we need. Ethnicity, skin color, and gender of the person who exited the elevator who was allowed to pass by the shooter. I'm going with hot black sister. I think a hot black sister was allowed to get past him. All right, let's get back to it. So Tamuro guns down a woman cowering behind a pillar in the lobby as he sprays more bullets and then walks towards the elevator bank, where he shoots dead a security guard crouching at his desk. One more man reports being shot and injured in the lobby. He was in critical but stable condition. All right, so apparently he killed a woman crouching, and then he shot another man, and then he killed the cop, and then he killed the security. All right, here we go. The gunman allows a woman to walk out of the elevators unharmed before heading up to the 33rd floor where building owner Rudin Properties offices are located, and he begins to walk the floor, firing randomly as he travels. One man is shot and killed on that floor. The gunman then proceeds down a hallway and shoots himself in the chest, ending his rampage. Says it is unclear how long the mayhem lasted. The scene has been contained and the lone shooter has been neutralized. All right, well, he killed himself. Roger Goodell of the NFL, the commissioner of the NFL, he has apparently the woman crouching in the lobby worked for the NFL. So they lost one of their people. How could he have known that, right? Like if he was targeting people who worked for the NFL and he walks in, sees a cop, boom, kill the cop, right? Psycho mindset. I kind of get that. The cop neutralized the cop. Then he sees a woman, kills her. I guess he shoots another random. Like, did he know the woman? I guess that he shot worked for the NFL. So, but he couldn't have known that, right? They don't walk around with jackets that say NFL. They're business people. All right. Here's what Roger Goodell had to say. The mentally ill shooter wanted to shoot up the NFL's offices on levels 5 through 8, but mistakenly went up the wrong elevator bank and ended up on a higher floor. Mayor Eric Adams confirmed Tuesday morning. Mayor Adams confirmed that Tamura carried a note on his person that alluded to having CTE, even though he never played in the NFL. But also, CTE can only be diagnosed post-mortem, it says. The quote here, it appears as though he was going after the employees of the NFL, Mayor Adams confirmed to Fox News. Roger Goodell issued a statement. He has a commissioner, right? Is he commissioner of football? Is that what the title is? Commissioner of football? It is, right? God, why does that sound weird? You ever have that where something you've said your whole life just suddenly sounds weird? Like yogurt. I had that with yogurt the other day. I was like, I got a taste for and I'm like, yeah, what is that? I want yogurt? I'm like, yogurt, is that right? Yogurt? And my kid's like, yogurt? I go, yeah, yogurt. Is that right? Am I saying it right? I don't know. It sounded weird. And I was saying it. I'm like, is that how you say it? Yogurt? Hadn't had yogurt in a long time. Anyway, let's get back to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. He says, we are deeply grateful to the law enforcement officers who responded to this threat quickly and decisively, and to Officer Islam, who gave his life to protect others. Roger Goodell added in a memo sent to all staffers that there would be increased security presence at the NFL league offices in the days and weeks to come. He said employees based in New York should work remotely Tuesday or could just take the day off. Cool boss alert. Cool boss. You can work remote. Just take it. Just don't worry about it. Seriously. Oh, God, it's training camp. Ugh. But I need to count how many players participated in hitting drills and non-hitting activities so that we can find teams in a couple of weeks. Take the day off. Just go ahead. Take the day off. It's training camp. Let them have a free day today. We're not gonna be looking at anything. Goodell added in the memo that there would be increased security and that everybody should work remotely on Tuesday or simply take the day off. Every one of you, Goodell said, is a valued member of the NFL family. We will get through this together. All right, very good. What else? So we showed that interview of him as a young football player. He's 36 years old. This is Didril. I'm sorry. Yeah, a little bit of tribute to Didril. Let's show this. You know what? No, first let me show this. This I thought was kind of great. This was during the press conference yesterday. This is Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who is a Nepo baby. But this is her talking about Officer Islam last night. I thought this was I thought this was beautiful. I thought she did a really good job. So let's check this out. Here you go. Commissioner of New York City Police on the fallen officer last night.
Are dead. Among them is NYPD police officer Didarul Islam, 36 years old, 4 years on the job. Officer Islam was married with 2 young boys, and his wife is pregnant with their 3rd child. He's assigned to the 4-7 precinct in the Bronx. He was doing the job that we asked him to do. He put himself in harm's way. He made the ultimate sacrifice, shot in cold blood, wearing a uniform that stood for the promise that he made to this city. He died as he lived, a hero. I want to extend my profound sympathies to all of the victims and their families, and to the brave NYPD cops who today lost a brother. There are still many questions that we have to answer, and we will answer them. But for now, our city is in mourning for the innocent lives lost. May their memories be a blessing.
I thought that was pretty good. And don't be like, oh, Pugs, what's so special? What's special is that they usually don't do it like that. I don't know. Look, I can shit on the Tisch family all I want, but I thought in that moment she did a nice job. I thought it was appropriate. I was watching it live, and I was like, it started to get a little tear in my eye. He died doing what we asked him to do. Oh God, it's already coming. It's already coming. Let's get a look at this dude. Let's get a look at this baller. He's left behind 2 kids. He's got a baby on the way. The only good thing about the year 2025 is that I am absolutely certain that there is going to be a GoFundMe or something for the family of this dude. He's got a pregnant wife. Dude was working 2 gigs, already struggling. 2 little kids, pregnant wife, came to America seeking the American dream, decided that, instead of chasing the endless bag of cash that everybody else does, I'm going to become a police officer in the city I love. This is an amazing dude. And I hope to fucking God his kids get millions from some GoFundMe. And I say this honestly. Let me just say this as somebody who grew up. My father was murdered when I was 6 months old, shot dead. I would have loved for there to have been some kind of GoFundMe for me back then. Maybe help me out with a college. I don't know. So, I say this as somebody who's been the kid at home whose dad didn't come home. All right. It's a beautiful thing. So there he is. Brave guy. Brave guy. All right, let's move on to other things. All right, let's see. What else do we want to do? Let's go into the CNN stuff, right? The CNN stuff. This is kind of, let's get our teeth into this. So CNN last night, they're taking a lot of shit. CNN is taking a lot of shit today. Aaron Burnett in particular, who people are like, oh, Aaron Burnett is at it again. And I'm like, at it again? She's like one of the most under the radar. Shut the fuck up about Aaron Burnett being at it again. Oh yeah, Aaron Burnett's the problem. Nobody even knows who the fuck she is. Stop it. Stop it with your nonsense. Anyway, so here's what happened. The fog of war being what it is, when these stories first start to break, you have all kinds of information. You've got information circulating on Twitter. You've got people talking to folks who are on the scene. You got people who are eyewitnesses to it who say shit that just didn't turn out to happen. And it's because of fog of war and chaos of the moment and not really misremembering or maybe making yourself seem more important. Whatever. So it's the fog of war. We always have to wait till the next day when everything is settled and we can go, okay, here's what we know. I love breaking news coverage. So I'm kind of used to the whole fog of war, bad early information nonsense. We've discussed it on this rant. You remember we're doing the rant 3 years ago at this point when we had the Robb Elementary School shooting. We were covering the Robb Elementary School shooting live on this stream, and early information told us that this wasn't a thing, that it was just a car accident out front. And that, there's nothing to see here, folks, nothing to see. So we stopped following the Robb Elementary story, and we did a regular rant on that day. And then I end the rant and I put on the TV and I start watching the news, and they're like, 13 children have been rushed to a hospital in San Antonio. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Well, we had bad early information. Happens all the time. There was a lot of bad early information yesterday. I'll give you one of the most common types of bad early information. Multiple shooters. Oh, every single time. Multiple shooters. Oh, I don't know. They caught one guy, but I heard they were on the radio, the police radio, saying multiple shooters. Yes, this bad information comes from the first responders. That's how this shit gets out. You are listening to the scanners and you're hearing the chatter, and 9 times out of 10, when it's a single shooter, there will be early chatter about other shooters detaining other people. And we've got another one. We're still looking for this. So bad information in the fog of war, when it concerns breaking news, is always going to happen. And we have to be able to forgive for it. It's not about, pushing an illegal or an illegal. It's not about pushing some illicit agenda. This is what I want, and I'm going to lie about what's happening so that I can control the. No, it's just fog of war. Aaron Burnett and CNN, they fell on a big one in 2025, a big one, because it's a racial mistake. They made a mistake with race, and to make it even worse, they made a mistake with white people. Oh my God, they blamed white people for something. Oh my God, how dare they blame white people for something? I'm a white dude. I was like, yeah, all right. So let me tell you what happened. So remember earlier when we were talking about the first responders and how I was listening, you heard there were cops who were talking about the first guys there were going on off information that they had as they hear the shots. They're going up the elevators. Wait, we're here now. The initial description by New York City police was possibly white. That's the exact thing that they said. Now, there is a guy named John Miller. John Miller is, I don't know if he's a former commissioner of the New York City Police, but for the last 30 years, John Miller is the terrorism and crime expert for CNN. John Miller is also a dude who, if you watch like gangster documentaries on A&E or History or whatever it is, John Miller is all over that shit. John Miller has been doing American crime enforcement. He was a law enforcement guy, investigating, and now as a pundit for 50 years, my whole life. John Miller's a real dude when it comes to this. He's not some bullshit lefty journalist. He's a grizzled New York City cop who I think went on to work for the FBI. Anyway, John Miller. So Aaron Burnett has John Miller on early in the coverage, right? So here, this is John Miller. This is how this whole thing started. Now, remember, it was the police on the scanner. John Miller is listening to the scanner. John Miller is also talking to his buddies who are in the department, giving him early stuff so that when he goes live on CNN, he's got something to say that other people don't have yet. And it comes with a little bit of credibility because he supposedly or theoretically has gotten this directly from some high-ranking source that will only talk to him, John Miller. But we, the early birds on this story, we knew that they were looking for a suspect who was possibly white. And it was only said once by a cop who made the initial, showed up. Okay, so this is what happened on CNN. Here we go. This is last night. This is John Miller. Maybe you'll recognize him. Let's see here. This started a whole hubbub about how CNN hates white people. Here we go. Can I make this big? All right, there we go. All right, so this is the shooter. All right, this man is not possibly white. Okay, well, the picture's out there, and he's on CNN saying he's possibly white. All right, just walk with me through this. All right.
Who he is?
They do not know who he is.
They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City, particularly has been sent to the phones of the search teams inside that building, because whenever they encounter a group of people, the first thing they have to figure out is that individual among these people hiding among victims or pretending to be an office worker? Because one thing you don't want to have happen is to have this kind of cordon where you're trying to evacuate people in groups as you can get them to a safe corridor and have this person slip out with them. So,
all right, so there you go. All right, there's John Miller. That's how it started. He's looking at notes. He's reading the notes that he took from earlier before he went live, where either he heard it as I did on the police scanner that they were searching for someone possibly white, or he talked to somebody else who was like, yeah, one of my guys said that it is possibly white. Okay, so that's what John Miller just did there. John Miller, not a journalist. John Miller, who is a guest who is brought up. Know the difference between the journalists and the fucking pundits who go on these shows and just talk shit, okay? There is a difference. He is an expert / pundit, not a journalist. Now, why was this a problem? This was a problem because this happened, okay? Here you go. This was Erin Burnett about 5 minutes later after coming back from a commercial group break. Remember, she's talking to John Miller. Hold on, here we go. John Miller just said, possibly white, reading his stupid notes. Here you go. 5 minutes later, Erin Burnett says this.
Scene showing you here, John's reporting that they do know what he looks like, male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses, in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floor.
All right, so there you go. So you've heard them both, and you know where it came from initially on the CNN box, which is John Miller, not Erin Burnett. It's not CNN. CNN, they have it out for white people. And that's not what's happening here. This is the fog of war. A bunch of information is coming really fast. John Miller, a white law enforcement guy, got it wrong. And I don't blame him for getting it wrong, because I was walking my dog when I heard the actual New York City Police Department say that they were looking for a suspect, possibly white. All right? So this isn't a part of some great agenda. It's a fuck up that occurred in the fog of war. Now, what I do want to talk about, which I think is the more interesting aspect of this whole thing, is how comfortable, and this is really where people are upset. All right, let's stop pretending about how we're upset because they got it wrong. Now, they get shit wrong a lot. News happens fast. We get it wrong. Okay. You're upset because of how comfortable they were with speculating that it might be a white guy. And you'd be rightfully upset by that, I guess. I wasn't, because I'm not a big crybaby. I am a middle-aged white guy, and I didn't wince when I heard that. I went, that's interesting, because they sure as shit would never say possibly black. They would never say that. And that's really what the problem is here. The problem is that we caught CNN and it gotcha, where they are more comfortable saying that the suspect, who they don't know who it is, they're more comfortable speculating that it might be a white guy than they are speculating that it might be a black guy. Now, is that evil on the part of CNN? No, it's fucking smart on the part of CNN. But they should be more comfortable making a mistake and misidentifying a white guy than they should a black guy. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but the black guys, they got like Jesse Jackson and they got all kinds of action committed, and it's just a fucking headache. You know, white dude's got nobody. You know, white dude's got Alex Jones, and ain't nobody care about what Alex Jones is boycotting, okay? It does need to be noted. That's what we found out. They're just more comfortable. Like, you know, if they're going to make a mistake, they'll make the mistake with the white guy, not the black guy, because there are problems. You misidentify that. They said, we're looking for a black guy, which is kind of a misleading thing for me to say, because they would never say they're looking for possibly a black guy. And that's kind of the rub of this whole situation, is that we know that. We know that they would never say, we think it might be a black guy. then somebody would be like, what do you mean you think it might? Get back to me when you have actual evidence. But you could say, we think it might be a white guy. And they'll be like, let's hit the air with that. Let's go with it. Might be a white guy. Scrolling. It might be a white guy. So that's what this is all about. They didn't do it on purpose. They did it because it was bad information that was coming. And then that picture was here's the timeline. Okay. I got a timeline here for you. Just so you know, that picture, the picture that they're showing now, that a lot of people are trying to use as evidence that CNN is deliberately, trying to start a race war, whatever it is, the argument. I don't even know. But whatever it is, here's the timeline. That picture was not made public when John Miller first said that. He was talking about another picture that was being produced from the scene. Anyway, here's the timeline. The timeline matters here. The assailant entered the building around 6:40 p.m. Okay, 6:40 p.m. CNN started covering the story at around 7:22 p.m. Okay, so 42 minutes later, 42 minutes after the shooting started, CNN finally got on it. I was walking my dog. I was well into it. I was well into this probably by 6:45. The minute the first calls went off in Midtown Manhattan, I was listening on my phone. The assailant enters the building around 6:40 p.m. CNN starts covering the story live around 7:22. Miller noted the alleged gunman was possibly white at 7:31. And CNN first aired the security footage, which is the thing that is obviously not white. The security footage of the guy. So he said it at 7:31. CNN first aired the security footage at 8:03. So it was 32 minutes later that CNN had the picture that made it clear that he was not possibly white. So this idea that people are trying to say that CNN knew he wasn't possibly white, but still said it anyway, is nonsense. And if you believe it, you're stupid. What they are is incompetent and made a mistake, but they are not deliberately trying to divide us racially. So back off. You want to say that they made a mistake? Absolutely. They ran with something in the fog of war? Sure. But I'm more interested in why they're so comfortable saying it was possibly a white guy than they would be saying it was possibly a black guy. Because they would never say that. They would never say that. And I understand why. Because, there's blowback if you make a mistake. Say something wrong about the black community, and there is a institutionalized apparatus that will blow back on you. White dudes have never needed that. So that's another big reason. We white dudes have had it pretty good. We haven't really needed to organize in order to, get what we want. So let's move on from this story and just say that anybody that's really upset that CNN said he was possibly white and is pretending like you're a pussy. You're a fucking crybaby bitch. Move on, stupid. All right, there you go. Now let's move on to the Reno story, which is another situation that happened yesterday. And why do I want to talk about it here? I want to talk about it here because there was a lot of chatter on the socials last night concerning sleeper cells have all been targeted. There was a stabbing in Michigan at a Walmart on Sunday, and then on Monday they attacked a Reno casino, and then on Monday evening they attacked the Midtown Manhattan skyscraper. And right now there is 30 people who have just been stabbed on the London Tower Bridge. The sleeper cells have been activated. That was the chatter, and I'm like, whoo! Well, there was no mass stabbing on the London Bridge. They just added that to make it seem like they wanted people to share it and, all of that. But I did kind of think, okay, that's interesting that there was this thing that happened in Reno, Nevada. And then we got this guy in New York. He drove from Nevada on the same day. Are they part of us? You know what I mean? I was just thinking. I was just like, what's this about? Two weird, random things. So I decided that I needed to play a little catch up with the Reno casino shooting. All right, here's the NBC story. Let's watch this. This is the catch up. These are the details so far. The Reno casino shooting from yesterday.
Open fire, killing 3 people, and multiple police agencies blocked off portions of the Grand Sierra Resort Monday after a shooter opened fire, killing 3 people and injuring 3 others. Throughout the evening, we watched police fly drones into the air over the area where police say the shooting happened, focusing their investigation near the valet entrance as well as the resort's parking lot. Evidence markers could be seen scattered around the parking lot. KCRA spoke to a witness from Lincoln off camera who was leaving the resort with her mother-in-law when the shooting happened. Denise Snyder says she saw the suspected shooter walk up carrying a black bag, then dropping it on the ground before firing. She tells us the gun jammed for a moment, something police described during a news conference.
The suspect's firearm malfunctioned. However, he was able to make it operable. Once operable, the suspect fired multiple times at the group of victims at valet.
As the suspect started shooting rapidly, Denise and her mother-in-law dropped their luggage and ran to their car for cover. We also spoke to a woman in the area who was shocked by everything that happened.
I was in shock. I couldn't believe that it happened here. I guess there's been a lot of shootings here though, but I was in kind of disbelief. God bless them, and I hope they heal very well, and prayers with them.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news.
All right, so let's talk about that story. So here's what we know, and also I have. Should we watch this as well? That the press con. Let's see what this is. All right, here. This cop is going to walk us through it. This is probably what I should have shown you from the beginning. The dude didn't drive to the valet. He walked across the parking lot carrying a black bag. He got to the valet entrance. He put the bag down, reached into it, pulled out a gun, and then just started indiscriminately firing at a group of people. Now, why is this important? Because we were wondering, is this gang related? Did these people know each other? Did they have beef? What is this? Well, that description to me, here, let's share this, the press conference. That description to me tells me, and the description that followed, that this was just another one of these random shootings. That somebody woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to kill a whole bunch of people I don't know today, just because I'm in that kind of mood, feeling a little frisky. So here, let's watch this. It becomes clear. This guy just started shooting random people. He runs through the parking lot. There's a dude in a car just pulling out. Probably just took a bad beat in the gambling in the casino. He's pulling out. Dude runs up to him, shoots him dead. Starts shooting at other people. First time he turned on a cop, though, that cop got him. Boom. Officer-involved shooting. All right, let's watch this. Here's what and I'm going to point out some things that really irritate me about this because we know nothing.
We will be providing several different statements from different members.
We're going to get to the cop. This lady, here we go, this guy.
Good afternoon. I will provide you information about this incident that is known at this time. The unidentified male suspect was observed walking onto the parking lot of the GSR from the north part of the property.
All right, right there. Let's fucking start there. It is 30-something hours later. He's alive. He killed people. What do you mean, unidentified male subject? You have his name. They always have the name. They've always released the name before now. Why are they not releasing his name? What is going on here? This is weird. We don't know who he is. We got him. We're fighting like the devil to save his life in surgery. We have no fucking idea what his name is, though. He's unidentified. That's weird.
The suspect continued walking on foot to the valet area of the GSR. Once at valet, the suspect produced a handgun and pointed it at a group of victims. The suspect's firearm malfunctioned. However, he was able to make it operable. Once operable, the suspect fired multiple times at the group of victims at valet. In total, 5 people in the valet area sustained gunshot wounds, and 1 victim was pronounced deceased on scene. 4 other victims were transported to a local area hospital. Of those 4 victims, 1 was declared deceased at the hospital, 2 victims remain in critical condition, and 1 has been released from the hospital. It was later determined that the suspect had multiple firearm magazines with him at the time of the shootings.
All right, so that's important too. This wasn't just his personal piece. He had beef. He wanted to shoot somebody. No, he was stocked up. He was ready to, hunt humans.
The suspect then fled back north through the parking lot, at which time a GSR security officer located the suspect in the parking lot, and the suspect opened fire on the security guard. The security officer returned fire at the suspect. The suspect then continued fleeing north through the parking lot. Another victim was driving through the parking lot, and the suspect opened fire on this person, striking the victim.
Random. Totally random person he just felt like killing, right? So we know he's another one of these people who's just looking to create mass mayhem. These are the fucking things that scare me, right? These aren't 13 people killed, in a suburb of Atlanta at a backyard graduation party, right? I'm not going to that backyard graduation party. I don't hang around with people who carry guns to backyard graduation parties. So I feel safe about that. But it's these ones where, hey, I was at the movie theater just buying some popcorn and now I'm dead. These fucking things, these are the ones that scare me.
That victim was pronounced deceased on the scene. Reno police officers arrived on scene and located the suspect, where he fired upon officers striking a patrol vehicle. An officer-involved shooting then occurred. Multiple officers from the Reno Police Department discharged their firearms, striking the suspect. The suspect was taken into custody and transported to a local area hospital, where he remains in critical condition. In total, 6 victims were shot. 3 of them are now deceased, 2 remain in critical condition, and 1 was released. At this time, we have no reason to believe there is a connection between any of the victims and the suspect, and we have
There you go. Just random. Just out there killing humans.
no known motive by the suspect. Our condolences to all persons involved in this
All
tragic
right.
incident.
There is no information being offered. Not giving us his name. That is not normal. That was the Reno shooting. Sorry. I'm trying to be better with my little, banners. I forget. So why aren't they identifying him? They know who he is. Why aren't they telling us who he is? There are a bunch of people that are dead. This was an officer involved shooting. The police. I mean, you gotta be above board. A cop killed this guy. And I know that he was a mass shooter who murdered him, but still, it's just odd, this story. Maybe it's because of the much bigger one that happened on Friday that you just can't conceal because it happened in Midtown Manhattan and all that. Maybe just when you compare all of the information that we had almost immediately about the guy in New York versus zero information about the shit that happened in Reno, and it's almost like they don't want us to know about that event. It's a weird thing is all I'm saying. All right, there you have it. That's the Reno situation. Reno casino shooting, 3 people died, 6 people were shot. I believe that the shooter in that case is still alive too. I don't know if he's still alive. He was alive as of whenever that press conference was this morning. So there we go. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Let's talk more Sydney Sweeney. I'm always willing to talk Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney's in trouble because apparently she's a Nazi. We did this yesterday. I played a video of a woman, and there was a lot of them. I just picked that woman because she had a nose ring and looked awful. It's easier to be mean to people who you just think not only say awful things, but they look awful. It's a complete package. So I chose that video, and this woman was complaining that the new Sydney Sweeney American Eagle commercials, where she tries on jeans, is a dog whistle to Nazis, and that it's a play on the term good genes. It is, if you have good if you have good genes. I mean, I've heard this my whole life. He said, well, he's so talented. He's got good genes. And, it's a way of giving credit to the mother and the father. That's all. It's not like a way of giving credit to an entire race of people that have ever existed. He's got good genes. Yes, we're talking about the immediate genes. You know why he's funny? His grandpa was funny. He's got good genes. It's a totally innocent thing to say. It is a totally innocent thing to say. And yet, because Sydney Sweeney is doing an American Eagle commercial, and apparently the name American Eagle is problematic for some. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. You're problematic. Shut up. Stop hating my country. Oh my God. Yeah. We got a limp as a country. We're limping right now, but fuck you. You don't want to poke the bear, bitches. All right, so American Eagle, that's a problem. It's American Eagle, it's fascism, and she's talking about good genes, and that's obviously a dog whistle to the far right and the Nazis, because whenever I hear the term good genes, I think eugenics and Nazism. You're broken. There's something wrong with you. If you hear someone discussing their good genes and you think that that immediately makes them a Nazi or somehow in league with Nazis, you're fucking broken. You're a big problem. You need to go away. We need to build camps for the likes of you. So Sydney Sweeney and American Eagle did a commercial. Let me show you the commercial. Let me show you the commercial that everybody is all upset about. Oh, you also get the play on words, right? They make jeans. American Eagle makes jeans. It's a jeans commercial. She's putting on jeans. She's talking about good genes. Why does it work? Because she's fucking hot. Because you know what? Genetically speaking, she does have good genes. She's got really good female breast genes. She's got really good female pretty genes. And she's a baller. So maybe, she got that from her dad. I don't know. She's a badass of the moment. She's doing the Pam Anderson thing. Pam Anderson said this in a podcast interview it had to have been, it was around that time that movie, The Showgirl, was coming out. They asked her about Sydney Sweeney and Sydney Sweeney, the girl of the moment. And they were like, Pam, you were the girl of the moment. You got any advice for her? And Pam Anderson was like, yeah, I'm actually pretty close with Sydney. We talk a lot. And the one thing that I've told her is that, you've got to take advantage now. You've got to make as much money and as much of an impact before you're 30 years old, or whatever she told her. That was her because the beauty will fade and then people will stop taking you seriously and blah, blah, blah. So I think that's what Sydney Sweeney's doing. She did remember just a couple of weeks ago, she got in trouble for the bathwater. Remember she did the Dr. Squatch bathwater ad and everybody's like, oh, Sydney Sweeney, what's she doing? And now she's doing American Eagle provocative gene ads, right? All right, so let's show you the Nazi blue jean ad that people are all freaking out about Sydney Sweeney. Here you go. Okay. Yeah. All right, here is the ad. Here is the ad where she is obviously dog whistling to Nazis. That is obviously what is happening. It's the only thing that could be happening here. I'm not just too young to understand the history of gene commercials where I would obviously see. We'll get into it. But let's watch first the new Sydney Sweeney blue jean commercial where she's being a Nazi.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
Nazis! That's a total Nazi dog whistle. That's what American Eagle was doing, and that is why Sydney Sweeney did it. There was probably a meeting where the people at American Eagle, at their headquarters, Der Wolfsleier, probably what they call their headquarters, Der Wolfenweil. So Sydney Sweeney goes to American Eagle headquarters and she says, I will only do the commercials that promote the white Aryan supremacy. That's what she did. They went and it was a combination. They both said, let's make a fucking gene commercial where we are, promoting that your problem is she's blonde, right? If she wasn't blonde, would it be a problem? If she wasn't blonde, would we still be able to do the whole eugenics, Nazis, Aryan supremacy, that whole thing? I don't know. I think it's just because people want to, try and talk shit. Okay, so there's the commercial. So we saw the commercial. Let's just watch it one more time because, first of all, I can always watch Sydney Sweeney. But let's watch it one more time just to make sure.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
Yes, she does. Undeniable. Okay. So that was Sydney Sweeney in 2025 doing a gene commercial. And, let me show you this. Let me just show you something else, okay? And then we're going to have a conversation, kids. All right, here we go. So we just watched the Nazi-friendly Sydney Sweeney, American Eagle jean commercial from 2025. Let me direct your attention to this Calvin Klein jean commercial from 1980.
The secret of life lies hidden in the genetic code. Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual and passing on these characteristics to succeeding generations. Occasionally, certain conditions produce a structural change in the gene, which will bring about the process of evolution. This may occur in one or more of the following ways. Firstly, by selective mating, in which a single gene type proves superior in transmitting its genes to future generations. Secondly, by gene drift, in which certain genes may fade away while other genes persist. And finally, by natural selection, which filters out those genes better equipped than others to endure in the environment. This may result in the origin of an entirely new species, which brings us to Calvin's and the survival of the fittest.
Calvin Klein jeans.
So you see, American Eagle announced today, all right, enough of this bullshit. We were obviously doing a play on the classic 1980s Brooke Shields Calvin Klein commercials, which maybe you have to be over 40 to remember. This has nothing to do with fucking Nazism. We are paying tribute to a culturally significant blue jean ad from the designer jean crazed 80s. An ad that made Brooke Shields a superstar. Okay, so if you're a young kid who spends their lives on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok and your whole world is about ginning up the next fucking argument that you can be at the center of, then maybe you would be too stupid to know that what you were watching in the Sydney Sweeney is a satire of a Calvin Klein commercial from 40 years ago and not a Nazi dog whistle in 2025. Your Honor, I rest my case. All right. But can I point something out here though? Okay, let's watch this again. Here's nobody. I don't mean to say that when Calvin Klein aired this commercial back in 1980 that it wasn't, scandalous, because it certainly was, but not because of any kind of veiled Nazism or anything like that. The problem for Calvin Klein with this commercial in 1980 was that Brooke Shields was 14, about to turn 15.
The secret of life lies hidden in the genetic code. Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of a
14-year-old girl. She was like days away, as you read the story. She was days away from being 15, but still, this is a 14-year-old girl being overtly sexualized on American network TV.
Individual and passing on these characteristics to succeeding generations. Occasionally, certain conditions produce a structural change in the gene, which will bring about...
All right, elephant in the room. So I was 10 when this was happening, when this commercial was a thing, when Brooke Shields was breaking onto the scene. She was so hot. You have no idea what this commercial did to an entire generation of like 10-year-old boys when they saw this older girl. Oh my God, this was like your older sister's hot friend on TV putting jeans on. We didn't have YouTube where chicks would do try-on hauls. We had to sit in front of the TV waiting for the Brooke Shields commercials to come on.
Process of evolution.
And here's the weird thing. Most of your dads were sitting there with us going, yeah, let's see that little 15-year-old girl try and get them jeans on in between commercials of Monday Night Football.
This may occur in one or more of the following ways. Firstly, by selective mating, in which a single gene type proves superior.
All right, a 14-year-old, all sexy on TV talking about selective mating. It was the 80s. It's funny, the 80s were a time where you couldn't do anything because we had rules, but then also we didn't have rules. As opposed to today when we have a lot of rules today. But again, it doesn't seem like any of the rules matter anymore. Oh my God, is 2025, are we similar to what's happening in the 80s? I have no idea. No idea. Anyway, there you have it. So the next conversation that you hear from one of your stupid friends about Sydney Sweeney being a Nazi and that this American Eagle campaign ad is a dog whistle to far-right extremists and Proud Boys and all of that stuff. Okay, if it is, it is. You can't help that. But let's talk about what it really is. It is an homage to a 1980s Brooke Shields Calvin Klein jeans commercial. That's all, according to American Eagle. And you know what? They're fucking right. They're right. I was glad I found that commercial, that old Calvin Klein ad on YouTube today. There's also, it comes with it. There's a companion piece that I watched. It's a Brooke Shields now, like modern day Brooke Shields, talking about all of those early Calvin Klein commercials that she did. It's pretty interesting. Because, yeah, she was being super sexualized. That girl, Brooke Shields, did her first nude scene at 12. Yeah, that was like a thing in movies where she was Pretty Baby. Wasn't that the movie? Where she played like a 12-year-old prostitute in some fancy elite bordello in 1920s New Orleans. Do I have that right? Did I just mix up two movies, Pretty Baby and Ragtime? I think I just maybe mixed up two films. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, and they sexualized her from the get-go. Who else played a little girl prostitute? Not even if you want to portray like a 17-year-old runaway prostitute, underage kind of thing, I get that. But typically the actress is going to be 22, 23, and she's playing that. No, not in the 70s, man. Jodie Foster was 5, and they made her play. Scorsese had her playing a prostitute in Taxi Driver. Okay, she wasn't 5, but she was not even a woman. I mean, she was a little girl who was portraying a prostitute, which is probably more realistic. You know what I mean? I bet in real gross prostitute circles, I bet there are a bunch of prostitutes who pimp out their. I don't want to think about this. What are we doing? I was promised a day without any Epstein or Epstein-esque kind of conversations, and all of a sudden, hey, look, we can agree. Sydney Sweeney's a fully grown woman. She's hot as hell. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? What do we need to get into here? We did the outrage over American Eagle. Oh, let's talk about this. Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, who, let me be honest, hate Deion Sanders. Think he's an absolute piece of garbage dude, or at least I always have. I believe this about Deion Sanders, but also I will tell you, because I am fair, one of the greatest defensive secondary players I've ever seen in the NFL. You can't take it away from him. He's incredible. Deion Sanders was an incredible football player. He's just a bit of a loudmouth. They shut up, Deion. He's one of those guys. I don't like him. And I wasn't a Cowboy fan back then, so I don't have to like him. Now, all of my friends, they all born and raised Cowboy fans. They love Deion and Michael. I'm like, yeah, they weren't on my team. Everybody else hated him. Anyway, look, we all loved when Shador, Deion Sanders' kid, bad shit happened to Deion Sanders' kid a couple of months ago in the NFL draft. He fell. They were talking about him being a top 10 pick, and then he falls to the 7th round? I don't know where he went. He fell all the way to the bottom of the draft. Nobody would touch him, and we all enjoyed that. It was being mean to the dude's kid because we don't like the kid's father. Yeah, that's at least how I felt. A little guilty. I was like, oh, man, I don't really have a problem with Shador. I don't know anything about Shador. I just don't like his dad. All right, so that's my backstory on Deion Sanders. Yesterday, Deion Sanders held a surprise press conference. He's the head coach of the University of Colorado. The Buffaloes up there. He held a press conference, and people were wondering, what's this about? Is Deion jumping? Was he leaving? What is happening? Why is Deion? And it was a medical update. And look, I've been through a couple of these medical updates, right? I'm a fan of players who have gone through this. I will never forget the surprise Walter Payton press conference that absolutely destroyed my world for a couple of days when Walter was brought out and talked about how he had this incurable liver thing. And then Walter started crying and we all started crying. It was awful. Went through it recently in the last couple of years with Steve Mungo McMichael, another one, called a press conference in Chicago to announce that he had this thing. Cry. So Deion Sanders calls one of these press conferences, and he's got doctors up there, and the early reports was he'd be joined by his personal physician, and so you couldn't help but think, oh, Deion's got a terrible thing. Deion's going to tell us he's dying, right? It's going to be one of these moments. So I tune in and I'm watching. And, well, let me play it for you. Let me play it. This is what Deion's going through. Now, remember, I don't like Deion, and I don't like Deion as a personality. I'm not tuning in so that I can laugh at whatever medical issue he has, right? That's not what I'm doing. I'm just like, oh, here's a guy that I don't like. Let's hear what he's going through. Okay, let's see what this is about. So here's Deion Sanders from his press conference yesterday. He's dressed very weird. That was the first thing that I noticed. I'm like, why the fuck is he dressed like a member of Hee Haw? We're going to fast forward this to about 6 minutes because these are all his doctors, and this is right about where Deion starts talking about what's going on with him. Let's listen to Deion.
Dealing with the catheter, dealing with all the stuff that I had to deal with. And right now I'm still dealing with going to the bathroom. Like, it's a whole life change. Like, I can't, and I'm gonna be transparent, I can't pee like I used to pee. It's totally different. And she not only is a blessing, but she provided other persons that have gone through what I've gone through so that I could talk to them and get some solace and understand like what I'm facing, not just from a doctor, but from another individual. And to have that been told, like, it's a totally different life. I mean, thank God. I depend on depend. You know, if you know what I mean. I truly depend on depend. Like, I cannot control my bladder. So I get up and go to the bathroom already 4 or 5 times a night. But then I'm sitting up there waking up, you know, like my grandson. We in the same thing. You know, we got the same problem right now. We going through the same trials and tribulations. We're trying to see who has the heaviest bag at the end of the night. Like, it's ridiculous. But I'm making a joke out of it, but it's real. Like, it is real, it is real, it is real. So if you see porta potty on the sideline, it's real, okay? I'm just telling you right now, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see the practice, you're gonna see one, because it is unbelievable. Like, dozing off and waking up, first thing I'm grabbing my crotch to see if I peed on myself. And it's just totally different. And I know there's a lot of people out there going through what I'm going through and dealing with what I'm dealing with. And let's stop being ashamed of it. And let's deal with it. And let's deal with it head on. And there's so many other companies out there that do a wonderful job, but I'm thankful that, we have a relationship with the pen, and we're making some other products, trying to make other products that to help all of us through. But it's been tremendous.
Yeah, and tell him, hey, Deion, you've got a really bad pisser problem, and it's going to change the way you live, and it's going to be a real inconvenience for you. And Deion's first thought is, let's get the Pens on the phone. I think we can make some money off this.
And these two, Lauren came down to Texas and was there with me during the whole way, up walking our miles in the morning, because Doc made sure you better walk, you better be active, and we did it. Until it was some points that I couldn't even get out of the bed for a week at a time, you know, but she was there. I remember yelling 2 o'clock, oh, Lord! You know, because I have 2 bags, right? Mm-hmm. One was what?
Both were urine, but one was filled quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah, like blood in urine. It just looked bad, you know, and I'm fishing with 2 bags. You know, I'm trying to make life happen, and couldn't come around my team, and I wanted to be here with my team. I wanted to see the new talent that we brought in. I wanted to see them work, see them train, coach them, and I couldn't. But slowly but surely, I built myself back up to where I'm able, I'm strong, I'm ready. I'm still probably about 12 pounds down. I'm gonna get that right. I'm gonna fill these overalls up like no other. But it has been a tremendous journey, and I'm truly thankful that God is so good. God is so good. You have no idea.
All right, that's all we need. Deion getting into the God stuff. That's where I jump out. Not a Deion fan. Never have been. I thought that press conference that he did yesterday was amazing. It was the first time in my life where I went, Deion's a dude. I go, Deion is a regular dude. I really appreciate him going out there talking about, I wear Depends. He's got bladder cancer. He was diagnosed with bladder cancer. He had a surgery back in May. This is the first time that he's out talking about where he is. He's got to wear bags. He cannot control the flow of urine. Very embarrassing. I mean, when you think about who Deion Sanders was and how he carried and presented himself, he was always the apex human, right? He's like, I can run faster, jump higher. I'm better at this than you. I'm the greatest at this. I got the best ideas. I'm the fastest talker. But now to see him, you would think that somebody like that wouldn't be comfortable sitting in front of a whole world of people, right? That was streamed internationally. He's an international, well, not international. He's a national treasure. He's Deion. But to have that level of comfort, to talk about something so serious with tongue in cheek, he's got jokes. Joking about his grandson, about whose diaper is heavier, and all that kind of stuff. I watched that and I just thought, man, maybe Deion. Okay, people change, right? We gotta make sure, because I like Deion Sanders now. I do. I like bladder cancer Deion. I do. I love that. He seemed like a regular guy, and it is important. It is important for people like him with the platform that he has to just every now and again remind us, the rest of us, that maybe we do need to get this stuff checked, because for a guy, that's a real serious one. Real common, the pee problems. I pee too much myself. I mean, I'm not peeing myself, but like I can't. I have to get up at least once in the middle of the night. I will pee before I go to bed. And then I will go to bed. And then at some point, like within 3 hours, I will get up in the middle of the night and I'll have to pee again. No, I do nothing but drink liquids all day. I mean, I am a nonstop liquid drinker, but I worry about that stuff. So Godspeed to Deion Sanders. Peon Deion. I'm telling you, I've got all kinds of slogans for your Depends ads. It's just, are you willing to be fun with this, right? Yeah, Peon Deion. From prime time to potty time. What else do we got? Was he got any other nicknames? I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, keep a good thought for him. He's handling this well. He's being very cool about it. And he seems to be getting the information out there, and maybe that'll help other people. And in true Deion fashion, he seems to have struck a deal with Defense. So it's going to be... That's actually a really good thing. Let me tell you something. That is a really good thing. Because for some reason, the whole idea of Depends adult diapers, we laugh about, right? Oh, ha, 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 ha. I know a couple of people who need them. I know a couple of people who have gone through cancer surgeries who need these things. We need to stop fucking making them embarrassed for the situation that they're going through. How about we stop? Deion, if anybody can make wearing adult diapers a cool thing, maybe it is Deion Sanders. Mick Jagger? Can Mick Jagger maybe doing that? I'm sure he's wearing them. The president is, right? We've seen the president after a round of golf with the full diaper. Anyway, good. It's a serious thing, and it's not funny. Diapers are not funny. Diapers for a grown-up are not funny, because that grown-up has gone through some shit that you can only pray that you never have to experience. So there you go. Good for Deion. Let's see here. What else do we have? All right. So we're going to finish with this. We're going to watch a little something here. I got into the car this morning, and I was listening to the ticket. And I typically only listen to the ticket for like 5 minutes until my Bluetooth recognizes my phone. And then I can, listen to the Score in Chicago, which is the sports station that I listen to because I'm a Chicago sports fan. But I was listening to the ticket, and I stayed on it today. I stayed on it today for an entire segment because they were talking about the passing of Ryne Sandberg. Ryne Sandberg, you know me, I'm a baseball guy. I love my baseball. I'm a diehard Chicago White Sox fan. My team, my city, Chicago, we have two teams. We have the Chicago Cubs and we have the Chicago White Sox. And I do not like the Chicago Cubs. It's a geographic hatred, that's all it is. It's just simply because they're the team from a couple of blocks north of where I'm from, and they're not me, so I must hate them. It's how we are. Ryne Sandberg is, I don't know. There's old heads that'll say Ernie Banks, and maybe some younger people that would say, I don't know. And I'm trying to think of who the quintessential Cub. The quintessential Cub, in my mind, is and will always be Rhino Sandberg. He's one of the best baseball players I've ever seen in my life. And I say this as a White Sox fan. As a White Sox fan, I had to sit there and I had to watch the rise of Rhino. And then not only did I have to watch the rise of Rhino, but I had to start to see Rhino get interviewed, and I had to see Rhino around town and Rhino doing things. And to make the shit even worse, he's like the nicest guy ever. He's quiet. He's unassuming. He's humble. He's not a braggart. I mean, we White Sox fans, we used to like to pretend that he was just stupid because he was quiet. Yeah, he's just not saying much because he's stupid. He wasn't stupid. He's baseball brilliant. I don't know about other things. Ryan Sandberg might be the best hitting second baseman I've ever seen. He was the first second baseman that I can remember who was more likely to hit a home run than, a double up the middle. Ryan Sandberg had an amazing hitter's eye. This dude could hit. I had a funny story. I had a meeting with him once. There was a company in Chicago called Bigsby and Crothers, and they made fancy suits. Part of their deal was they made fancy suits for all the pro athletes in town. So if you were a big pro athlete, a bear, a cub, a sock, a hawk, a bull, whatever, you got your fancy suits from Bigsby and Crothers. And Bigsby and Crothers were, for some reason, tied in with the radio station that I was on. We used to do commercials with them. And Bigsby and Crothers were doing a big shoot. They were getting together. They do it once a year. They get all of their big stars together in one room, put them in fancy Bigsby and Brothers suits, and then they take a picture, and then that picture is a billboard for the next year, right? And who is it? It's Walter Payton in a suit, standing next to Ryan Sandberg in a suit, standing next to Carlton Fisk in a suit, standing next to Chris Chelios in a suit, standing next to, these are all Chicago sports legends. And they would be on the billboards in their Bigsby and Crothers suits. So this event was going on where they were taking these pictures, and Ryan Sandberg was there. And I was sent over there from my boss, Kevin Matthews, to just get tape or whatever. And there was a party. It was not just like, come in and take your picture. It's a party. And at this party, they're taking these pictures. So people are drinking and people are having fun. And I'm there with my friend Doc. And Doc is friends with Mark Grace, who is a legendary Chicago Cub player, Mark Grace. And Mark Grace, my friend Doc, and Chris Chelios, who is a Chicago Blackhawk hockey player, Detroit Red Wing, whatever, they're sitting there. And I walk up and I start making a joke about Cubs, like Mark Grace, because Doc and I are Sox fans and Chris Chelios is a Southsider from Evergreen Park. So all of a sudden it's like, what is the Cub doing at this table where we're drinking? Well, the Cub is Mark Grace, right? And I'm just some stupid radio guy. So what am I doing busting Mark Grace's ass? But I got Chris Chelios on my side, and Chris is like, yeah, no Cubs at this table. That it was a joke. So that happens. So I start going around with my little recorder later in the night, and I'm recording everybody, and I'm walking up to people and I'm saying, hey, and I'm asking silly questions to these Chicago sports celebrities. And on Monday on the radio show to be, hey, we sent Pugs out. He was hanging out with a bunch of sports legends. And then I ask stupid questions. That's the bit. We've heard it a million times. But in the moment I'm doing these things, and I come up to Ryan Sandberg, and Ryan Sandberg is standing there, and I go, hey, Rhino. And he's like, how you doing? And I go, I'm Pugs for the Kevin Matthews show. So whatever, you want to mess around with me a little bit? We'd do a little bit of joking. And then he was really shy. And he goes, I don't know if I can. I don't know. It's not really what I'm comfortable with. I'm like, well, okay. I go, well, I'm recording now. So all of this is being recorded. I go, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. And he was being nice. But again, Ryan Sandberg, very humble. And then Ryan Sandberg looks at me and he goes, you know what? I'm not talking to you anyway because you're a White Sox fan. Mark Grace had told him, Mark Grace, who was sitting at the table, had told him like that, oh yeah, blah, 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 don't talk to him. Doc was actually wearing a White Sox hat. So it's like, we were like a White Sox thing. Now, I laughed. I was a little bit taken aback. I didn't know if he was serious or not because Ryan Sandberg is very hard to read. He's very sort of stoic and in the moment. And then he gave me a smile and he touched my shoulder. He went, I'm just kidding. And I thought, fuck, that guy is as awesome in real life as he is watching play from afar, because I'm a White Sox fan. And I thought to myself, that's it. He's my favorite Cub of all time. He's the greatest Cub of all time. And that's my Ryne Sandberg story. He made me feel really scared at a moment and then let me off the hook almost as quickly. And that's just, to me, that's a sign of a good guy who was because there was a power dynamic. He understood he was Ryne Sandberg and I was just some kid who was, half nervous talking to him, but also trying to be cool because I'm on the radio. He let me off the hook. He didn't bust my balls about some earlier shit talking that I'd been doing about the Sox versus Cubs. He was by all appearances a great man. All right, let's watch this. Just in case you don't know who Ryne Sandberg is. By the way, that goes back to the ticket thing that I was listening to today. I didn't think I was going to hear a whole lot of talk about Ryne Sandberg all the way down in Texas. They did an entire segment talking about how, when I was 10 years old and I was first becoming a baseball fan, I used to run home and I'd watch the games because we only had WGN. It was a super station on cable and you could watch all of these games. And Ryne Sandberg was... I heard an absolutely beautiful tribute to Ryne Sandberg for about 20 minutes on a Dallas, Texas-based sports station, and I just thought that was nice. But let's let Major League Baseball do it. This is Major League Baseball Network's tribute to Ryne Sandberg, who passed away yesterday. He was 66 years old. If you don't know who he was, watch this. One of the greatest baseball players to ever play the game, and maybe that's not mentioned more because he wasn't a talker, because he didn't self-promote, because he wasn't in commercials. He's the great Ryne Sandberg.
Ryne Sandberg's career as a player and manager spanned parts of 19 big league seasons. For 15 of those years, Ryne manned second base for the Chicago Cubs. He was a baseball superstar who brought a power-speed combo to the top of the Cubs lineup and played virtually error-free defense at second base.
Ryne Sandberg, the all-time leader, 480 chances, errorless for Sandberg.
With a tireless work.
I want to mention one thing, though, that is so cool, and we're going to hear it from time to time in these clips. You're going to hear the voice of Harry Carey calling Ryne Sandberg moments, right? Okay. Harry Carey and Ryne Sandberg's career in Cub history perfectly align. Harry Carey's first day calling games for the Cubs. Harry Carey was the White Sox announcer. He left the White Sox to come to the north side and take over the Cubs. Harry Carey's first game calling Cubs baseball was Ryne Sandberg's first game in a Cubs uniform. Ryne Sandberg's last game in a Cubs uniform in 1997 was Harry Carey's last game calling a Chicago Cubs game. How wild is that? I mean, that would mean, unless I think Harry fell and hit his head and missed a couple of weeks at some point. But, Harry Carey called almost every single game Ryne Sandberg ever played in.
Work ethic and a genuine sense of humility, he endeared himself to a generation of Cubs fans, becoming one of the most popular players in franchise history. Rhino, as he was affectionately known, was a 10-time All-Star, 7-time Silver Slugger winner, tied for the most ever by a second baseman, and won 9 consecutive Gold Gloves, cementing his reputation as one of the finest defenders of his era. Sandberg ranks among the Cubs' top 5 in several categories, including games played, runs scored, stolen bases, hits, doubles, and home runs. An all-time icon of the franchise, he's one of only 6 players to have his number retired by the Cubs. Ryne D. Sandberg was born in Spokane, Washington on September 18, 1959. In high school, he was a standout athlete in basketball, football, and of course, baseball.
I was playing 3 sports, year-round then, so, I didn't know which sport I was going to play or which one I wanted to play. So after high school, I thought baseball would be the best for me.
In the summer of 1978, he was drafted in the 20th round by the Philadelphia Phillies. He made his major league debut in 1981. After that season, Sandberg was traded to the Chicago Cubs. Ryan wasn't an overnight sensation with his new team, and the Cubs struggled on the field in his first 2 years. But in 1984, the Cubs put it all together, with Sandberg leading the way. And in June, he burst onto the national scene with a game for the ages.
The Sandberg game. You may have heard it mentioned a couple of times today. This is, I remember this game. I remember I was at Sandersville. It was wait, was this the one with my mom's birth? I don't know. Hold on, wait. The Sandberg game. National TV.
NBC Sports. He burst onto the national scene with a game for the ages.
NBC Sports presents the Major League Baseball Game of the Week. And today from Wrigley Field, it's the St. Louis Cardinals versus the Chicago Cubs.
It was the Saturday game of the week, which was a big deal, and which, as the players, we call it the game of the world because everybody was watching.
The Cardinals jump out, I think, to a 9-3 lead, and the Cubs come back, and it's 9-8 as they come up in the ninth.
I'd already had a good game going, had 3 or 4 hits at that time, which as an offensive player, you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
And Bruce Sutter, former Cub, now Cardinal, premier relief pitcher in the National League, faces Sandberg.
In a left center field and deep, this is a tie ball game.
Going around the bases, the crowd went nuts.
Sandberg's homer into the bleachers and left, tied it at 9.
And then I came up again, I think it was 2 innings later. Bruce still in there pitching.
2 out, last chance for the Cubs. Up comes Sandberg to face Sutter.
Identical swing, pitch, and results.
Deep left center, look out! Do you believe it? It's gone!
The Cubs eventually win the game, and that game is still called the Sandberg game because it was so dramatic, because the whole country saw it. That's what kind of put Ryne Sandberg on the map.
That one game brought me to a different level as far as thinking of myself as a baseball player. I got to live up to that, you know, not only tomorrow, but, you know, I have to live up to that the rest of the year, which I thought I did.
On the strength of what became known as the Sandberg game, Ryan was voted starting second baseman for the National League All-Star team, the first of 10 consecutive elections. He also went on to win the 1984 National League MVP.
Rhino, you're awesome, brother. You are awesome.
And led the Cubs into the playoffs for the first time in 39 years. However, the trip to the playoffs ended in disappointment, as did another appearance in 1989. Rhino, for his part, however, continued to turn in MVP-caliber performances, collecting several personal milestones throughout his career.
There's a drive, way back, number 40, Rhino hits his 40th home run.
In 1990, he led the National League in home runs and became just the third second baseman to reach the 40 home run mark. By the end of his career, Ryan was on the verge of a milestone that would cement his place amongst the greatest players the game had ever seen.
There it is, way back, a record-breaking home run! Ryne Sandberg! He has now hit more home runs than any second baseman in history. How about that?
He retired in 1997. And in 2005, Ryne Sandberg was recognized among the game's all-time greats with membership into the National Baseball Hall of Fame.
The reason I am here, they tell me, is that I played the game a certain way, that I played the game the way it was supposed to be played. I don't know about that, but I do know this. If there is a single reason I am here today, it is because of one word: respect. Thank you, and go Cubs.
All right. Who's crying? I'm not crying. He's one of the greats. I mean, never won anything, never played in the postseason, you know. But wait, did he? I mean, well, he did, but never, you know. It's not like a Yankee or a Dodger or a Red Sox. Everybody, oh, they're so great. because they made it to the postseason. He played on shitty teams. He was like one of the best players in the entire league, and he was playing on a shitty team his whole career. Ryan Sandberg, he's an icon of Chicago sports. That's how I, as a White Sox fan, will justify this. Ryan Sandberg transcends simply being a Chicago Cub. Ryan Sandberg is an icon to anyone who is from Chicago. There you go. That's how we're going to say it. The great Rhino. And he let me off the hook. So I heard I thought you hated the Cubs. You're a Sox fan anyway. And it was so weird for him to say that because he doesn't seem like he has a sense of humor, you know? But he was scared to shit. I'm like, oh, fuck, Ryan Sandberg's mad at me. And then he put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, just kidding. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. Although it would have been great. It probably would have been good for my career as a morning zookeeper sidekick kind of a dude if I could then go on the air on Monday and start talking shit about Ryan Sandberg and maybe fabricate some kind of a feud between me and Ryan Sandberg. I do have one thing that I did often say whenever, I would years ago, like back in the 90s, I used to refer to Ryan Sandberg as the second best 23 in Chicago, just to make Cub fans angry. I mean, obviously Jordan is the 23 in Chicago, but Sandberg is 23. Devin Hester was 23. So we've had some good 23s. Rhino's second best 23 in Chicago. Maybe the best baseball player. Maybe the best baseball player in Chicago baseball history of my lifetime. Maybe. It's him or Frank Thomas. And if we're talking about defense mixed in as well, Frank was a first baseman. Frank didn't really show much defense. Frank was a better hitter than Rhino. But I think Ryan Sandberg very well might be the greatest baseball player in my life. In Chicago. There you go. Greatest Chicago baseball player. Rhino's dead. That's sad. All right, there he goes. Are there any other Cubs? Are there any other Cubs that I will feel, I don't think so. I think that's it. I think Rhino was the special one. Rhino was the special one that even like White Sox players are like, I wish he was ours. I wish he was ours. He's not. He's theirs. Begrudging respect. Yeah. All right, folks, that's going to do it. We're done. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll do another show tomorrow. But tonight, we've got the big trivia. Come one, come all. It is trivia night out there at the back 9 in Addison. It starts at 7:30. Might want to get a little bit early. Want to get registered up and all of that. Get a couple of drinks. Get it flowing. They got a full menu. You get dinner out there, whatever. Trivia. James Parker of WBAP is the reigning trivia champion. He had a perfect card he turned in yesterday or last week. That's how he won. Perfect 20 out of 20. It's hard to do. It's not hard to do. Actually, I don't think I think he did it, and he is the reigning champion. So come on out to Trash Trivia tonight at the back 9, 4060 Beltline Road in Addison, and see if you can dethrone the champion of Dallas-Fort Worth trivia, James Parker. He's currently on the air at WBAP, but he's going to come by right after. So see if you can beat him. We got prizes. We give away prizes. We've got CBD and hemp and Delta 8 or 9. I don't know what it is. I don't want to say the wrong thing. It's the stuff that's legal for now, and it'll get you fucked up. We give out drugs. Big giant bag of gummies we gave out last week. James Parker took home a big giant bag of gummies. We also got gift cards. We give gift cards. We give prizes to the first 3 teams. That's right. You can play as a team. Come out with your friends, or you can just come out by yourself if you think you can beat, a bunch of teams made up of moderately informed people. I don't know what you think the ratios are there, but come one, come all. It is Trash Trivia tonight at the back 9, 7:30 with me, Pugs Moran. Here are the questions, the categories, I should say. Today's categories. What are the questions going to be about? Here you go. We're going to start out round 1, whatever. It's just a random category, of trivia questions from all different categories. Just doing a little light stretching before we, really get into it. Category 1, whatever, random trivia. Category 2 is odd science. Odd science, not weird science. It's not about the movie. Odd science is category 2. Where the hell am I is category 3. Lady problems is category 4 in round 1. There you go. That's round 1. Whatever. Odd science. Where the hell am I? And lady problems. Lady problems. Those are the first 4. The round two is history, just regular history. Did you fall asleep in history class? Maybe you'll do well here. History, followed by category 2 is I like to watch. That's right. I like to watch. It's about shit we watch and where we watch it. I'm going to tell you a show. You tell me where I watch it. Is that a Hulu show or a Netflix show? I like to watch. That's category 2. Category 3 is singer in the band. I will give you the band. You tell me who their lead singer is. And then category 4 for tonight's trivia, the final category, TV casts. That's right. I will give you a number of actors who have appeared together in a TV show. You tell me what that TV show is. All right, that's trivia tonight. 4060 Beltline Road, Addison. Excuse me. The back 9 starts at 7:30. Adam Rain, what is he? Okay, all right. I'm sorry. All right, I just read. Adam is not shitting on Ryan Sandberg, but why do you have to make some kind of negative comparison? I'm talking about a guy who they don't. I don't understand why you took that route to extend the conversation. Like, engage me in a conversation. You took a route that is like, Ian Kinsler is a fucking amazing baseball player. Okay, I didn't watch as much Ian Kinsler as I watched Ryan Sandberg growing up, so I don't know. So I'm not making that comparison. But I think. All right, I think Ryan Sandberg's a much better baseball player than Ian Kinsler. I'm sorry. I think Ian Kinsler's great. I think Ian Kinsler's amazing. I think Ian Kinsler is a fucking starter who can start on any team. He's amazing. I think Ryan Sandberg's better. That's all. That's where we're going to leave it. All right, kids. There are a Coast Guard investigating. Big breaking news. Apparently, the Coast Guard is investigating a collision between a sailboat and a barge. Barge? Why did I pronounce it that way? It's barge. I'm like, and they barge. All right. Killed 2 kids. All right, never mind. Let's not talk about that story. That's not a good story to go out on. All right, guys. I'm a done. You're a done. We're a done. See you at trivia tonight. If not, rally back here. Love you all. Be good to each other. Let's have some fun. Bye-bye.